We all knew this was going to happen, and not one of us did anything to try and stop it. Hello everyone, welcome back to Fanblade. Yeah, so I've bought one of these. I don't really know how I feel about this base. There's not very much to feel anything about. There's not very much body, there's no headstock at all, and the neck is, enormous. However, it does have a few interesting things, and these bases are, very highly regarded. And aesthetically, I don't quite get it. And as far as playing them goes, well, I need to do some work on this one before I can get it playing and then find out what all the fuss is about. This is the Hohner Professional B2. They also made the B2A, which is the active version, which comes with a switch and a light and a balanced output, which is neat, because no DI required, which I appreciate that. This is just the basic model. But crucially, it is licensed by Steinberger Sound, so you are getting the Steinberger designed bridge. You are getting, on this one at least, I believe, and we'll dive in deeper on these, but I think these are EMG pickups. What I have been able to find out is that they started building them in 1985. Somebody somewhere thought that the early ones also had EMGs in them. Or an early EMG prototype of some sort. Now, this one is a 1985 base. These might be EMGs. That would be lovely to find out, considering how much I barely paid for this, considering the condition that it's in. You'll notice it's missing its flip stand, which is like a piece of metal that flips out and locks in at that angle so that you can actually rest this thing on your knee to play it. Otherwise, there's just no way to play it sitting down. If I ever come across a spare part for sale, yeah, I'll just get that and just screw it on. That's an easy fix. What's going to be a little bit harder to fix will be the pickup rings, because they're both broken, and I can't just drop in any off-the-shelf parts because they've got two screws. There's two height adjustment screws on that side and then one on that side. These are custom to this base. If you've never encountered one of these bases before, one of the primary oddnesses about them, if I can invent a word, is that they need double ball end strings. These strings are wound with a ball at each end, because otherwise there's nothing at this end for the string to anchor on. There's no tuners. So you need a ball at each end. Now that does somewhat limit your choice of strings, and I don't like that. Lots of other people didn't like it either, so Hohner did actually make a little adapter to go on there, which is simply a piece of steel with 4 holes for the strings to go through, and then 4 holes drilled 4 grub screws to lock them in place. Real simple. So I have a length of stainless steel, which is about the right size, and I've gone and bought some grub screws. I'm going to make a little adapter to go on there, because then I can right a wrong that I perpetrated upon a brand new set of strings some time ago. I had a little mistake. I had a little problem. I cut an A string to the length of an E string, and now it's not long enough to go on any other bass that I have, and that made me sad, because that basically was a waste of an entire set of strings. And, for bass players, we don't like to buy lots of sets of strings. There's one other modification I have to make just to fit those strings on here, and that will be to file down the saddles just a little bit, because the E and the A, they're both taper-wound strings, which means that the inner wrap gets to there and stops, and then the outer wrap goes along, and then basically at that point it becomes the inner wrap. And so the string that hits the saddle at that point is a little bit thinner. Same with the A string. And what that does... And I can sort of understand the physics of this, because you have a thinner string right across the touch point of the bridge, which actually gives you more vibrational potential. Basically, it allows for freer movement of the string. I don't actually think there's much point, because you're allowing for free movement only past this point. Right at that point, there is no movement anyway, so if that point is slightly wider, then it's going to sound just as good as every other bass on the market that doesn't do this. I believe this is unnecessary. The other main hindrance that you find with these basses is that in order to get the strings off, obviously you've got to detune them, and that does reveal the ball end at this end. But you can't get that out until you slacken off the set screw that's holding the bridge saddles in place, and then you nudge that way a bit, and then you can actually get the string out. So you cannot set this bass up and then change strings easily. You have to destroy your intonation in order to change strings. I mean, grr, I don't like it at all. There's no markings anywhere on here. There's no indication that these are any particular brand or otherwise, unless somebody out there recognises this this sort of arrangement, then it'll just have to continue to be a mystery. There is a little screw on either side of the brass grounding plate, but I can't really see the value in removing those. I sort of tried to remove one and didn't want it to come out easily, and I don't care enough to try and force it out, because who knows what else it might be holding in there. Let's take the bridge apart, because this is where things start to get really interesting. I have actually thought about building one of these basses myself, because this is a tuning system that I can make. However, I don't know if I like the aesthetics of it enough to actually want to go to all that effort. That's neat. Right. So, that sort of slides in there. Okay, let's pull the top plate off and have a look inside. Wow. Okay, so this one is missing its spring. Let's just reseat that. Actually, while I've got that out, yeah, there's nothing to it. So let's set that aside and take this bit off. All of these saddles are loose. They'll all need a good clean because they are filthy. Oh. Brass. Okay. That's kind of neat. That'll be for grounding, which is kind of interesting because the grounding wire only goes to there, so it doesn't actually go that far. Might need to extend that out a bit. In the meantime, if I can take a little bit of this paint off, we might get some idea of what this is made of. That looks very much like maple to me. Yes, right. Select one of several hundred push pins. Yeah, right, real hard. Yeah, that's a maple body, 100%. I just tried out a wire brush on one of those screws just to get rid of some of the rust, and yeah, that's come up rather nice, so I'll do that for the rest of them as well. In fact, I might even just take the electronics out and then give the whole thing a proper clean, because yeah, it sort of needs it. Alright, so now we've got the pickups mounted properly. I had to take some pickup rings that actually were made for a base with a curved top, so I actually had to sand these down flat. I could probably sand them down a little bit more. The original ones are just a simple flat bit of plastic. I would like to actually make some myself. I don't have any plastic that's suitable. I could make them out of brass, might look a bit dumb. I still don't really have a proper solution for that, but for now they are in this base. They might be sitting up a bit high, but like I say, I can sand a bit more off. The whole thing's clean. It's like I don't hate it anymore now. It looks a lot nicer, except for the fingerboard is obviously extremely grody, and we need to make a block so that I can mount some strings on it. Yes, the block. I have here a length of stainless steel, and that would be absolutely perfect for this job. In fact, I've even tried to use it. I have made this, and that, would have been really, really nice. Except as I've drilled the holes in the top here, yes, it would seem that the surface of the inside of that hole has work hardened, and I cannot get the tap to bite in and form a thread. It just skates around inside there. So, yeah, that's a bit of a bust. We'll throw that on the scrap pile. Going to have to use something a little bit softer, and I've got this lump of brass here. That's softer, but it's easier to machine, and it'll also look quite good when it's nicely polished up. I will, of course, have to file some flats on various surfaces so that it doesn't just roll around. But you got to do what you got to do, and in this case, I'm going to cut some brass. Alright, now, that's done. My hands are filthy, but that's shiny. I like that. Let's talk about something that's very specific to this particular bass. And it's the main reason why I think I'm probably going to absolutely hate playing it. And that is the fact that its neck is absolutely enormous. Except, down at the nut, it's not. It's 38 by 22. That's jazz bass. That's perfect. That's exactly what you want. The problem is, as it tapers out this way, it also tapers out that way. At the, the 17th fret here, we've gone from 22 at the nut to 27. That's too thick. That's a really, really... it's awful. It's horrible. Even the cheapest... Where are we? Even the cheapest $12 P-Bass that you can buy is... what's that? 22. And then right down there at the 12th fret, it is 23. You know, that's got a little bit of taper to it. Ultimately, it's about the distance that your fingers have to travel this way. And if that's consistent all the way up and down the neck, then the instrument doesn't get in the way. But if it starts getting fatter around here, then you really start to notice that you have to work a little bit harder. And it's just awful. Now, as I said, I believe this is a very early one of these. I don't know if they kept this design going. I would love to hear from people who have newer ones of these. I think they made them up until about 2012. What's your neck like? Leave a comment if you've got one of these and you love the neck or you hate the neck or the various reasons why you love or hate it. I've just filed the E and the A saddles out a little bit and discovered that, yeah, these blocks are actually asymmetrical. So originally they were around the wrong way. They were all sitting that way, and that's why it had to be sitting so far back as to run into the retaining block. So hopefully now that will mean that I can set the intonation and not have to adjust it every time that I want to change the strings. However, I have just noticed something that's a little bit annoying. When you go to put a string in, of course, it won't go all the way because that slot there, that's not wide enough for a normal set of strings. So I'm going to have to take this apart again and take probably the E and maybe even the A, although I will test the A, and just file that gap out a little bit so that I can even fit these in there. And here it is, coming in at a featherweight 3 kgs exactly, with a 38mm nut and the largest feeling neck of any instrument that I own, except for my upright. It's just ridiculously uncomfortably cumbersome. I do like a larger neck, but this is just absurd. The body is actually surprisingly comfortable. I would have thought that, sort of square edges and no contours and everything would have felt a bit blocky. I mean, it looks like it's going to be blocky, but it actually doesn't. You don't notice that when you're playing it. What you notice is that there's nowhere for your forearm to rest on. That's definitely a thing that I notice. But all of that aside, there is no denying that it sounds pretty fantastic, actually. Whatever these pickups are, they're extremely good. And this is both pickups on full and tone on 100%. Sounds like this. Yeah, you can't really escape the fact that really, it almost justifies how cumbersome this neck is to play. Just the neck pickup. And just the bridge pickup. it's awful to play. When you're getting up here, it's just awful. And when you're getting down here, of course, your arm's going all the way out there. It's such a shame because it sounds so good. Yeah. Oh, well, I suppose I better play some drums then. Yeah, that'll do. And there it is. Undeniably one of the most fantastic sounding basses coupled with one of the most unplayable necks. And not just the size of the neck, it's all the way out there. Really, I should put a neck dive compensator in so that the thing sits more centered where I would sort of be just so I don't have to reach all the way out there to get it. I can totally understand why people fall in love with the sound of these things, but I am not a fan. Not of this particular one anyway. Again, if you've got a later model with a better neck on it, let me know, because that might be worth investigating. If they sound as good as this one, a better neck would make this thing an actual useful instrument. But as it is with this one, I mean, oh no, what do you do? I think I'll put these pickups in my Les Paul because that'd be an improvement on both fronts. And on that bombshell, we will call an end to it. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for... I thought I was going to have something to rest my arm in then, but no. Good grief. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for subscribing. And I will see you very soon. Thanks.